Right now, it's safe to say that Thanos is one of the most reviled villains in the MCU. There's no question that the Mad Titan needs to be taken down during Avengers 4. The only question is, how will it happen? Today, we're going to be talking about some theories about who's going to bring down Thanos and what'll be left of those that do. But before we get into our revenge fantasies, be sure to click on the subscribe button for more great videos from CBR. Then ring the gray bell to join our notification squad to stay up to date with all things MCU. When we think about Avengers 4, it's easy to focus on our favorite heroes and the roles that they might play in bringing down Thanos. But there's one character who we think might be far more important than people realize, even if they didn't make any jokes during Avengers Infinity War. We're talking about the Soul Stone, which we saw being guarded by Red Skull in Vormir. Unlike the other stones, we hadn't seen this one in previous movies. The other stones went by other names and popped up at various times in the MCU timeline. For example, Loki used something called the Tesseract to open a portal during the Avengers, which we later learned was really the Space Stone. But we first saw the Soul Stone during Infinity War, and it doesn't have any known aliases. Despite this, it might be a huge mistake to underestimate the Soul Stone or the role it will play in Avengers 4. Sacrifice is a massive theme in Infinity War, and even Thanos was forced to make one in order to obtain the Soul Stone. The good news was that Gamora learned her father genuinely loved her, albeit in his own terrible way, but the bad news was that she learned this when he threw her off a cliff. This action was in direct contrast to the idea of not trading lives, espoused by Captain America. During the movie, we saw Loki sacrifice himself to save Thor, Vision sacrificed himself for the greater good, and Doctor Strange sacrificed the Time Stone to save Tony, just to name a few. We learned that the Infinity Stones are sentient to some degree, and this one is particularly powerful. After all, it managed to force Red Skull to serve it, and Thanos was willing to do anything to obtain it, so why hasn't it appeared in the MCU until now? We think it's because it will play a pivotal role in the defeat of Thanos. Even while he rampaged across the galaxy, we hardly saw him use it. We saw him use the Soul Stone to recognize souls when Doctor Strange tried to confuse him with replicants, and then at the end of the movie, he used it to speak with Gamora's soul. Although we haven't seen much of it on the big screen, comic book fans are familiar with the abilities of the Soul Stone. It's capable of trapping souls inside of it and accessing the abilities of those who are trapped inside of it. It can also compel the person wielding it to follow its will, and these attributes make it both powerful and dangerous to have in your possession. Based on that heartbreaking conversation we saw Thanos having with little Gamora, it seems a part of her is definitely inside the Soul Stone. In fact, many fans believe we've seen it start to affect Thanos already, just during the short period of time he possessed it during Infinity War. At first, Thanos was pretty gleeful about the death and destruction he was causing, but after getting the Soul Stone, he seemed to slow down a bit. Thanos has been taking out large numbers of people for ages, so his actions during Infinity War were nothing new for him. He starts out being fervent in his beliefs and convinced he's doing the right thing, but at the end of the movie, he looks positively broken and overcome with sorrow. Could losing Gamora truly have upset him so greatly? Or is it possible his sadness is the work of the Soul Stone? Thanos was the one who used the Infinity Stones to wipe out half of all life in the universe, and some believe he's the only one with the power to undo it. If this is the case, Thanos will likely be plagued with temptation to undo what he's done. It's possible that the souls of his victims, or at least some of them, are trapped in the Soul Stone. They could upset the Mad Titan so much he could seriously worry that he might undo all of his hard work. Would Thanos give in to this urge, or would he remove the temptation by taking his own life? Think about it. Thanos did horrible things, but he genuinely believes in his cause. He thinks what he did is out of kindness and not something horrible. He believed in his cause enough to sacrifice his beloved daughter, so it doesn't seem implausible that he might believe in it enough to sacrifice himself if the need arises. In the end, Thanos' greatest enemy might turn out to be himself. Also, this would make sense from a storytelling standpoint. There's been a lot of speculation about whether there's going to be a new villain introduced during Avengers 4. Would this new person work with Thanos, who notoriously doesn't play well with others? And how would they manage to find enough screen time to do them justice? If Thanos doesn't make it all the way through Avengers 4, there would be room for a new and exciting villain to become the main threat. Having Thanos take himself out will add more complexity to his character and the movie as a whole. We also have the possibility that the Soul Stone might turn against Thanos. Red Skull reveals that many have come before Thanos seeking the Soul Stone, but obviously they all failed to obtain it. It's easy to see why someone might want to obtain the Soul Stone, but it does have a very specific set of requirements. Red Skull lived his whole life without ever loving anyone else, so he was unable to make the sacrifice necessary to obtain the Soul Stone. By sacrificing Gamora, Thanos essentially made a deal with the Soul Stone. He promised the stone Gamora's soul, which was the soul of someone he loved, and that he would use its power in order to save the universe. But is it possible that the Soul Stone didn't realize he intended to save life by destroying half of it? After all, couldn't Thanos have wished for double the resources instead of half the life? The Russo brothers have admitted that Thanos' motives aren't entirely altruistic, and he has something of a messianic complex. If the Soul Stone finds itself displeased by Thanos, there's no telling what it could do to him. Going against the Infinity Stones is a pretty terrible idea. Just look at Red Skull. The Space Stone sent him flying through space, and the Soul Stone enslaved him. Time travel was the secret to success in Doctor Strange, and many believe it will come into play during Avengers 4. After all, we highly doubt Marvel Studios is really going to get rid of so many profitable and likable characters in one fell swoop, so if our heroes gain the ability to travel through time, they could use it to defeat Thanos. There were many sad moments during Infinity War, but one that particularly sticks out are Vision's deaths, because the poor guy had to die not once, but twice. Following the theme of sacrifice, we saw Vision give up his life in order to prevent Thanos from obtaining the Mind Stone. Then, Thanos turned back time to get the Mind Stone, killing Vision in the process. So, if Thanos were to sacrifice himself only for our heroes to turn back time and take him down, it would be a truly fitting and sensible end for the Mad Titan. After all, what would have happened if Stormbreaker's blow had managed to land on Thanos' head? There are many other ways in which Thanos could be defeated during some time travel following the events of Infinity War chronologically. One possible contender for Thanos' vanquisher is Tony Stark. He's proven that he's willing to sacrifice himself and do whatever it takes to make sure the day is saved. In the beginning of Infinity War, we heard him speak with Pepper Potts about having a child, and we also witnessed his sweet relationship with Peter Parker. We think if there was any way to save lives, especially that of someone he views as a son, Stark would do it, even if it means losing his life. And it seems as though Doctor Strange may believe that Tony Stark will be the one to defeat Thanos as well. Earlier in the movie, he told Stark that he would allow him and Peter Parker to perish if it meant protecting the Time Stone, yet his tone changed after checking out millions of possible timelines and determining that there was one where Thanos was defeated. After finding this out, Strange handed the Time Stone over to Thanos in order to save the life of Tony Stark. Once Thanos had the Time Stone, he could have killed Stark immediately, or Stark could have perished during the snap, but as we all know, he's still around, lending more credibility to the idea he has a pivotal role to play in Avengers 4. Captain America is another popular option when we're speculating on how Thanos might die. After all, he's the one who declared that heroes don't trade lives, which came into play at multiple points during Infinity War. Actor Chris Evans has hinted this might be his final portrayal of Steve Rogers, a character we know isn't afraid to sacrifice himself. During Captain America, the first Avenger, he crash-landed his plane in order to ensure the weapons on board couldn't hurt any innocent people. While he may not trade other lives, it's clear Rogers is fine with trading his own if the situation arises. Thor seems like another strong contender, especially since he came the closest to defeating Thanos during Infinity War. The God of Thunder swore he would have vengeance on Thanos for killing Heimdall, not to mention his brother Loki. Creating Stormbreaker took Thor being willing to sacrifice himself and Groot sacrificing his arm. It's a weapon specifically created to defeat Thanos. If Thor gets just one more shot at Thanos with Stormbreaker and improves his accuracy, he could be the one to strike the killing blow. Long before Infinity War, we knew Thanos was up to no good, but for so long, he resisted going after the Infinity Stones himself, and many fans wondered why. Was it simply to build anticipation for Infinity War, or was there a real explanation for the lack of Thanos in earlier movies? According to the Russo brothers, maybe major cosmic forces in the universe have Thanos in their crosshairs, and would notice when he started collecting the stones himself. For a long time, we had no idea where the Soul Stone was, and he didn't want to show his hand too early. In order to stand a chance of achieving his goal, he would have to gain possession of the stones quickly, and that means at least knowing where to find them. Well, clearly Thanos has all the stones now, making him not only a target for the remaining Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy, but by other forces as well. There's the Living Tribunal, the Beyonder and Eternity, as well as other powerful beings such as Galactus and Annihilus. It could be possible that one of these entities could cause the downfall of Thanos, taking him out and giving our heroes someone new to fight against. Honestly, the possibilities of who could kill Thanos are limitless, and we've only discussed a few of the most likely scenarios here. For all we know, the answer to who's gonna kill Thanos may come completely out of left field. Will Venom be introduced into the MCU, fuse with Thanos and become an unstoppable force, terrorizing the universe and making funny jokes? Will Ant-Man manage to shrink Thanos and keep him in a hamster cage? We can't wait to find out. Now that you know what we think might happen to Thanos in Avengers 4, we want to hear from you. In the comments section below, tell us what you think will be the fate of the Mad Titan. Then make sure to click on the subscribe button for more MCU content from CBR. Thanks for watching.